And just like that, guys, we are back with episode 6 of my Beyonce experience. Now, we are covering the other rest of the coverage. Now, as we close out shortly, so episode 6 and 7 will be uploaded tonight. And then we have episode 8 and 9, which is basically concluding the 9 parts of my Beyonce theory. And then the 9th one will basically be ushering in the next chapter of my Beyonce, which is going to be Act 3, which will be her 9th studio album, which we're stopping at the 9 parts of the Smoke Hour special. And then we will redirect our focus tonight later on for the predictions of World Championships. And then we will see if we could sum up some other things. Like I said before, Beyonce is doing something that hasn't been done before. I mentioned this in my previous episode 5, that Beyonce is literally recreating the different segments of her previous albums. She kicked it off with the Renaissance, and how Renaissance kind of mirrors Dangerously in Love in some capacity. Each album kind of redirects itself. When she says she is referencing herself, if you pay attention closely to that date, I believe that Beyonce was planning to release something for Act 3, and then she was going to go on a massive tour for Act 2 and 3, or it could have been a double album. I think Act 2 will be some sort of a double album. Beyonce has been very quiet lately since she wrapped up the Cowboy Carter era. I think, and that's just me speculating, that Beyonce has something very special for the closure of Cowboy Carter. And whatever that's going to come after that all stems back from the denim cowboy commercial from Levi's Chapter 4. And I think I got you guys in a little breakdown. So if you guys are interested, I will leave the link to that video up there. Now, if we look at the prequel, the precursor, or we could consider the pilot episode, I believe the Gift album, and I mentioned this in my previous coverage of the Beyonce theory, that the Gift album, if you look at it closely, is mirroring each other. It's duality, right? It's yin and yang. The way the lines are positioned and how Beyonce told the Lion King story from her point, but in a more visual aspect of this album, we could conclude that Beyonce has something in store for even our future album. Now, mind you, this was the first visual album that is the bridge between Lemonade and then Renaissance, which came 2 years after the pandemic. Now, when 2020, when things were going a bit well, and Beyonce released the highly anticipated Black is King, which came out, I think, 2019 or 2020. It was a spectacle like we never seen before, and that Beyonce had plans on creating even more bodies of work. The fact that Cowboy Carter was created first, and then she went out and did this Beyonce Bowl, which became the second act of the 3-act trilogy. Beyonce then focused on creating the tour guides of the Cowboy Carter tour. Now that she won an Emmy for a Netflix Super Bowl special, this has never happened before. Beyonce now create a new lane and a new path line that people could rely on when it comes to releasing albums. Furthermore, the Cowboy Carter tour grossed $407 million in total when it comes to sales. Is the highest country tour of all time, and it is the highest selling fast tour of all time. Like Beyonce referenced, she travels through space and time to meet us here, and she says that her altitude from her tap herself and her MPC, indicating that these two albums, Renaissance and Cowboy Carter, mirrors each other, almost as if Chardonnay or Renee is reflecting on each other. Renee when it was alive, which was Chardonnay, and Renee as it evolves to a soul component became the chrome horse that we see it. So when Cowboy Carter ended, a lot of people are speculating what is Beyonce planning on doing. But I'm here to tell you guys, Beyonce has so much in store for Act 3. Now, there was a little interview between Beyonce's father and I forgot which host, and they were mentioning that since Beyonce thing got leaked at the Atlanta show, Beyonce, I felt, was not forced, but had to make a critical decision to release Act 3 at an early setting. And here's another thing I want to mention yet again. Renaissance was the first half of the Destiny's Child reunion. We saw all 4 members, including Beyonce, were all at the Renaissance film premiere, and they all showed up in their glamour. Flash forward to Beyonce, I think it was like one of the carpet things, and Beyonce was dressed in all black, including the other ones, Latoya and Lataria, and Kelly and Michelle. I'm not surprised if I'm gonna say this, and I mentioned this in my previous video. I believe the fact that we got Cowboy Carter, which is a representation of 2, which then Beyonce brought out Destiny's Child, and I kept saying this, that Beyonce throwing the rock symbol and the other 2, Latoya, Lataria, releasing the same gesture for hands. I believe Latoya and Lataria will be part of Act 3, and Beyonce will bring them 2 for the cover for her next act. Just like she brought Michelle and Kelly, I think she's gonna do the same thing for Latoya and Lataria. Just like she did a reunion for DC for Act 2, I think she's gonna bring Act 3 and bring the other 2 girls. I think Beyonce is going in full circle. She's bringing back all of her fans and her favorites. I think Beyonce is gonna be generous to bring back Latoya and Lataria, and they're gonna do rock. I believe so. I truly believe so, because that will fit in the narrative of what I'm saying. Like I said before, Beyonce has done something that I think a lot of people hasn't been realizing. She's reflecting on different parts of her albums that connected to people the most. Now, with Act 3 approaching, the person that I think that's gonna bring the most energy to her next album is Michael Jackson, is Prince. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, when I was looking at the Cowboy Carter tour footage that I recorded, they showed a bit of Freddie Mercury, which a lot of people did not see. I think Beyonce is going to be wise enough to use Freddie Mercury's wide voice. He is the front runner of Queen, and I think Michael and Queen, Freddie Mercury, were good friends. So to see Beyonce use that narrative, and like I mentioned before, that would be amazing. On top of that, the Sir Davis horse, when you look a step back into all of the things that Beyonce released for merchandise, the Sir Davis kind of feel like the odd man out. It's bronze, it has a bronze cover, it has a different horse. This horse, the Sir Davis horse, reminds me of the carousel horse that she rode on. That horse was not gold, it was a brownish color. So to give you guys a better understanding of what I'm saying, that color of the horse I think is gonna be similar for Act 3. Now, because a lot of people mentioned, and I mentioned that in the Cowboy, the Levi's commercial for Chapter 4, I believe that Beyonce is gonna change the paint custom to this horse. It's gonna be like a black and red. I think the horse is gonna be, the mechanical horse is gonna be black, and then the rims, the inner rims of that horse is gonna be red, indicating we are in the 3rd act, and the horse is gonna be a black and red motorcycle wheeled rim horse. Because I believe that horse that she rode on, if it wasn't for the malfunction, I think that horse should have belonged in Act 3, which would make perfect sense. From Cowboy Carter, we have seen 3 different types of horses: the denim, the and it's weird because they all represent the different colors of the American flag, with Chardonnay leading the pack with the white looking horse. The red horse we haven't seen, or we did, and then the blue horse, which is the denim horse that she rode on. Now if I were to pick the theme for Act 3, yes, it's gonna be rock, but I think it's gonna have this weird Circus Olay type of energy, because I think Beyonce will create a theme around this act. Also, I like to mention that this horse is definitely gonna be something to watch. I think it's gonna be the biggest horse out of the other two, because since if it is the closeout of Act 3, and then the visuals will come as Act 4, I believe this horse will be a massive horse that's gonna represent Beyonce as the artist. But like I said, we have one more video coverage to go. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and like I said, like and subscribe before Beyonce shoots you. So shout out. Like she said, she shoots you down. So I'll see you guys soon. Be safe, stay blessed, love you all. Bye bye.